The iconic role of Laura Ingalls Wilder in the beloved NBC drama series Little House on the Prairie has made Melissa Gilbert, an American actress, producer, and director, well known. Gaining popularity as a young girl, she has remained in the business since, winning over audiences with her charm and skill. Since then, The Little House on the Prairie serves as a reminder of our simpler times. I don't recall it ever not being enjoyable. Gilbert has shown remarkably resilient in the face of personal adversity, such as repeated marriages, tax issues, and an addiction fight. She recently revealed something shocking about her spouse, played by Dean Butler on Fuller House. Now let's explore what she disclosed. Roots in childhood. Kathy Wood and David Darlington, a newly engaged couple who felt unprepared for motherhood, welcomed Melissa Gilbert into the world on May 8, 1964. She was placed for adoption shortly after her birth, and the comedian and actor Paul Gilbert and his actress and dancer wife, Barbara Crane, took her in the very next day. Jonathan Gilbert, a son, was later adopted by the couple, whom Melissa would later co-star with on Little House on the Prairie. The circumstances surrounding her adoption are still unknown. Despite her adoptive parents' claims that they had trouble getting pregnant, the evidence seems to indicate otherwise. Melissa only met Paul Gilbert once, and he had a daughter from a prior relationship. Barbara Crane fell pregnant twice after Melissa was adopted, one of which ended in miscarriage and gave birth to Melissa's sister, Sarah. Melissa's parents split when she was 6 years of age. Her mother eventually wed Harold Abels, and the two of them bore Sarah Gilbert before splitting up as well. Paul Gilbert died 6 years after the divorce. Years after she was first informed that he had had a stroke, Melissa learned the truth. Paul, a former service member who suffered from persistent discomfort, committed suicide. It broke her heart. For almost 6 months, she struggled with inner upheaval, bereavement, and a profound sense of abandonment, as well as insomnia and appetite loss. Melissa's memoir claims that although she was brought up in the Jewish faith that her adoptive mother professed, she never received a formal religious education or a ceremony of conversion. Fame as a child. One of Melissa Gilbert's first on-screen performances was in an advertisement for Alpo dog food. She was going to school at the same time as Leslie Landon, who was the daughter of director and actor Michael Landon. After more than 500 young actors applied for the coveted role of Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, Leslie was the one to tell Melissa that she had been chosen. The 1973 television pilot for the show was a ratings hit. The whole series filming started around a year later. Other girls her age were playing outside and going to school, but Melissa's early years were quite different. She was absorbed in the reality of 19th-century prairie life while working long hours on set. Laura Ingalls Wilder's cherished book series served as the inspiration for Little House on the Prairie. Taking place on a farm in Walnut Grove, Minnesota, the drama followed the Ingalls family, Father Charles, Mother Caroline, and their daughters Mary, Laura, and Carrie, in the late 19th century. The majority of the story was told from Laura's point of view, with major plot points centered on school life, such as conflicts with the pampered Nellie Olson. The story changed as time went on. When Mary became blind, she left to teach at a school for the blind, and the Ingalls family moved several times. Almanzo Wilder was Laura's eventual husband. In the last season of the show, Laura and Almanzo were left to fend for themselves after Charles and Caroline sold the family farm and moved out of Dakota. Melissa developed a deep bond with the Landon family following the passing of her adoptive father. The revelation that Michael Landon had been having an affair with Cindy Clarico, a young makeup artist on the program, caused tension in their relationship. The announcement caused a major divide and upset Melissa greatly. She avoided Landon after the 1983 to 1984 season, when the series concluded. Years later, Melissa learned via the Landon family that Michael was bedridden and suffering from pancreatic cancer. She paid him a visit at his house in Malibu, and they had a meaningful afternoon together. He was dead a week later. On October 6, 1995, Melissa gave birth to her son with her second husband, whom she named Michael in remembrance of the man who had earlier played such a significant role in her life. Little House. After Little House on the Prairie ended, Melissa Gilbert continued to work in television. In the biographical movie Choices of the Heart, she played missionary Jean Donovan. In 1996, she co-starred with her then-husband Bruce Boxleitner in 3 episodes of Babylon 5 as Anna Sheridan. In the animated Batman series from the 1990s, she also provided the voice of Batgirl. However, Tara Strong took her position in the latter series, The New Batman Adventures. The Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is situated at 6429 Hollywood Boulevard, honored Melissa with a star in 1985. At the unveiling ceremony, she was accompanied by actor Rob Lowe, who was her fiancé at the time. She became a member of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum and Oklahoma City's Western Performers Hall of Fame in 1998. In Season 4 of Nip Tuck in 2006, Melissa played the provocative character of Sherry Noble, a patient who undergoes breast surgery after committing zoophilia with her dog. Playing Caroline Ma Ingalls in the series' musical adaptation from 2008 to 2009 allowed her to return to her Little House roots. Starring Cara Lindsay as Laura, the performance, which was directed by Francesca Zambello, made its debut at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. In June 2010, the production came to an end at Kansas City, Missouri's Starlight Theater. Melissa joined the Celebrity Contestants cast in March 2012, and she was paired with Maxine Chmerkovskiy on Season 14 of Dancing with the Stars. She fell around week 4 and struck her head on Maxim's leg, resulting in a slight concussion. Following her hospitalization, she went home to recuperate. She persevered in the tournament despite the injuries, and after being eliminated in week 8, she eventually placed 5th. Melissa was elected president of the Screen Actors Guild in 2001 following a fierce campaign in which she ultimately defeated actress Valerie Harper. She defeated Kent McCord in 2003 with 50% of the vote to his 42%, and was re-elected. She said that she would not run for a third term in July 2005. Everyone would be embarrassed if she were to beat them a third time. Melissa declared her intention to run for the U.S. House of Representatives. In the 2016 elections for the 8th Congressional District of Michigan in August 2015, Melissa stated in a statement posted on her website that she decided to run for Congress in order to help all the families that thought they could have been left behind by the economic downturn at the time. According to her, creating a new economy required collaboration. And in order to complete the task, it was necessary to bring new perspectives to the table. However, what sparked her interest in politics? Melissa became active in local politics after relocating to Michigan with Timothy Busfield, her third husband. She was particularly intrigued by the 2014 state gubernatorial contest, in which Republican Rick Snyder was facing Democrat Mark Schauer. She wanted to back Schauer because she liked him and his running mate, Lisa Brown. So, in an attempt to include her, she and her husband called her. She was also not fond of Snyder. According to Melissa's 2022 memoir, Back to the Prairie, she became increasingly convinced that he was a stereotypical neocon, anti-feminist, anti-choice, anti-immigrant, xenophobic, and homophobic the more she read about him. Unsettling climate skeptic. She was incensed at the possibility that Michigan, a once progressive state, was going purple. She was moved to stand by Schauer and Brown. Upon locating their campaign headquarters, Busfield clarified that his wife was eager to participate and they were more than willing to take the assistance. When candidates were unable to attend an event, Melissa went straight to work, making appearances, distributing pamphlets door to door, and giving public speeches. When Election Day finally arrived, she spent the remainder of the day on the campaign bus with Schauer and Brown after rising early to cast her ballot. They gathered in their own spacious suite later that evening to watch the returns after concluding their stay at one of Detroit's large hotels. It was instantly made extremely evident that the outcomes the team had hoped for would not be available to Schauer and Brown. In order to heal from the setback, Melissa needed a few days of alone in silence. Even the plans she had been excited to start and the work she was prepared to accomplish had to be put on hold. Despite the tragic loss, Melissa reported that she had a really good experience working with Schauer and Brown. After the campaign, she felt satisfied with how she had spent her time. She delighted in interacting with people, listening to their tales, and assuring them that she would make every effort to assist. When Schauer made a suggestion to her the next election, she was eager to hear it. When he contacted her to catch up, he asked her a question. "In your district, would you be interested in running for Congress?" Melissa said in her book that it took a moment to understand what those words meant. The obvious question she raised was why he had considered her. Mark also mentioned how he has seen her listen to people's issues and sincerely try to assist them. Melissa, he thought, belonged in service. Politics was a different matter from service. She told Schauer that she wanted time to reflect and discuss the matter with her husband, even though she was flattered. Naturally, she ultimately made the decision to run, but health issues forced her to retire early in 2016. Her narrative would have been believed by everyone if she hadn't been accused of tax fraud prior to her dropout. A spokeswoman for Melissa's opponent's campaign referred to her as a tax cheat shortly after Melissa declared her intention to run for the U.S. representative seat from Michigan. Melissa apparently owes $112,000 in state taxes in California and $360,000 in outstanding federal taxes. Melissa was quick to respond. It was false, she maintained, and the tax debt was caused by divorce, the economy, and a halted acting career. She added that she had worked out a repayment plan with the IRS, but that year her political aspirations came to a stop. Marriages. Rob Lowe and Melissa had a brief engagement in 1986, but their brief romance was rocky. An unintended pregnancy was the ultimate reason for their 1987 breakup, according to Melissa, who acknowledged that both parties had committed infidelity. He couldn't commit to marriage or fatherhood, Lowe had told her. She miscarried shortly after announcing the news of their separation. Actor Bo Brinkman was her first husband from 1988 to 1994. She then married actor Bruce Boxleitner from 1995 to 2011. Her first marriage was characterized by alcoholism, insecurity, and the awkwardness of two strangers attempting to balance their personal and professional lives. Additionally, she caught her spouse cheating on her in their marital bed. Only 2 months following her son's birth. Melissa claimed that when he was apprehended, he only asked her, "What are you looking at?" Melissa met Bruce Boxleitner, another Hollywood actor, a year after she and Bo Brinkman had divorced. The couple married in 1995, and that same year they welcomed their son, Michael. Melissa said that their 16-year marriage had ended shortly after it started. She had an emotional affair with her leading man while she was appearing in Seduction in a Small Town, according to her memoir Prairie Tale. Dennis McNamara, who played her character's husband in the film, was the actor she did not name. Timothy Busfield, a filmmaker and actor from the United States, is her third husband. His character in the TV show 30-something was Elliot Weston. Mark, who played Danny Concanon on the TV show The West Wing and Ray Kinsella's brother-in-law in Field of Dreams. In 1991, he was honored with a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series for Over 30s. He is also the creator of Theater for Children, a non-profit arts organization. As a pitcher, he was admitted to the Sacramento Baseball Hall of Fame in 2024. In 2012, Busfield first met Melissa at a bar, and her smile won him over. At 8 o'clock, a bar across from Universal Studios opened, but it was almost empty until 10 o'clock, at which point it became a club. He frequently visited there, where he would watch sports, eat a slice of pizza, and have the bar to himself for the first 45 minutes. While grabbing his pizza that fateful night, Busfield noticed another individual wearing a fedora and glanced around the bar to see what was going on. Melissa was there. At first, he didn't want to speak to her. He was content with being single and spooning his pillow because it had been roughly 8 months since his previous date. However, something persuaded him to approach Melissa, and they spent the entire evening conversing. He knew she was the one right away. It seemed so genuine. By the following year, the pair had tied the knot. He assured everyone that they were on an equal footing in every way. He told her she didn't have to do things if she didn't want to, which Melissa said was one of the best things he did. Since no one had ever told her that she was a kid actor, it was a huge issue. No matter how much she disliked it, she had always had to do things. The couple had 2 prior divorces and children from those marriages. Busfield has 3 kids, Wilson, Daisy, and Samuel. Melissa has 2 grown sons, Michael and Dakota. Melissa's agent announced her engagement to actor Timothy Busfield in January 2013. Before relocating to New York City in late 2018, they spent 5 years in Howell, Michigan, after getting married on April 24, 2013. In 2018, the couple purchased a cottage in upstate New York's Catskill Mountains. When 2019 finally arrived, they were ready to escape the bustle of New York City and enjoy some fresh air. They purchased a cottage that was in poor shape, with filth inside and flaking stucco from the previous owner. Even though they had to contend with damp, mildew, and rodents, they worked hard to refurbish it and planned to stay there forever. During the epidemic in 2020, Melissa and Busfield co-founded the Gilbert and Busfield podcast. They discussed everything from show business to family and the epidemic, and they thought the podcast would bring some humor to the conversation. Back to the Prairie, A Home Remade, A Life Discovered, Melissa's most recent book, was published on May 10, 2002. Yes, I do. She discusses in the book the natural way of life she has decided to lead in the Catskill Mountains with Busfield. She also acknowledged that her spouse was the one who truly assisted her in escaping the demands of Hollywood while she was marketing the book. Growing up in a field that places a lot more emphasis on appearances than on character, Melissa had been stuck in the cycle of attempting to maintain her youth. She acknowledged feeling under pressure to obtain Botox, fillers, and plastic surgery at one point. She began to accept her true appearance, however, after she married Busfield. Her hair was chopped off, and she stopped getting Botox. Busfield was also a great help. Her efforts to conform to the expectations of others had been intense. She's finally content with who she is now. The couple has been married for 12 years and is utterly devoted to one another. Her on-screen spouse, Dean Butler, was a whole other story. Let's learn more about him and the things she has been keeping from the world for so long. On-screen spouse. According to Dean Butler, if he could go back in time and change anything about his time on Little House on the Prairie, it would be the age gap with co-star Melissa Gilbert. At the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary cast reunion and festival, he gave an explanation of why their age difference acted as a bit of a barrier. In the first episode of Back to School in Season 6, Almanzo Dean was 23 years old and Melissa was just 15 when they first met. The episode Sweet 16 featured their characters' first on-screen kiss. Later that season, it was broadcast. Melissa's mother let out a loud cry when she and actor Dean Butler shared their first kiss on television. Michael Landon, the show's star, writer, and director, had to shout and cut because the emotional outburst was so distracting. The age difference was another reason why Melissa's mother disapproved of Dean's casting, and she couldn't stand to see him kiss her daughter. The inconvenience was a protective one. Despite the widespread belief that this was Melissa's first kiss in real life, she acknowledged that before to her part with Dean, she had practiced puckering up with another cast member. She remarked that she could only imagine the pressure Dean was under as a grown guy who had to kiss a youngster. Had she been able to inform him that she had actually kissed a boy before? Tim Mayer. By the 6th season, Melissa's character Laura was instructing a full class of pupils. Tim Meyer's character, Chad Brewster, was one of Laura's students who required additional assistance, so he spent some time with the teacher alone. Melissa and Mayer apparently interacted off-screen as well. The 8 years that separate Melissa and Dean may seem like a small distance now, but 45 years ago, it was the Grand Canyon. In addition, Dean was a young guy living alone with a car, but Melissa had been a slightly sheltered adolescent who was not permitted to wear heels or get her ears pierced. Even Melissa had expressed dissatisfaction with his casting, he subsequently learned. "Oh shit, they found a real man" is the title Gilbert gave to the Butler chapter in her memoir, Prairie Tale. She had hoped the producers would find someone closer to her age. Funny enough, years later, TV Land recognized Dean and Melissa with an award for the most unforgettable kiss in TV history. The Stone Dispute. Melissa Gilbert claimed that she was moved to tears during an audition with Oliver Stone in 2017, a year when Hollywood was dealing with accusations of inappropriate and intimate harassment. During her appearance as a guest on Andy Cohen Live, she talked about her interaction with the director of Snowden. Melissa claimed to have purposefully made fun of her at her audition for the 1991 movie The Doors' Pamela Corson role. She told Cohen that first she was reluctant to name Stone. She added that there were times when men in higher positions made fun of me, one of them in particular did it during an audition and needlessly because she had made fun of him in a public setting. She cried as she fled the room after he retaliated against her. She admitted to Andy that she was scared to mention his name for fear of criticism. Cohen inquired again if she had been provocatively humiliated by the director. Following her audition, Melissa claimed that Stone had created a particular scenario for her and wanted to see her perform it with the actor. He asserted that he was hoping for chemistry between them. Melissa's character was on her hands and knees, pleading with him to do her a favor. She left the audition in a really bad mood since she thought it was awful. She went on to say that she publicly embarrassed him, which was the reason for everything. Melissa ultimately decided to identify her claimed harasser as Oliver Stone from the Doors movie. After that, Melissa informed Cohen that she thought the claimed deed was retaliatory. To a conversation she had with Stone at a bar when the filmmaker was sulking on TV. At a table full of people, he was complaining about how awful television was and that he would never watch it. After then, all of these young girls, who were watching Little House on the Prairie, rushed over to meet Melissa. Melissa informed him, "See, that's television," as he appeared stunned as they departed. Television accomplishes just that. She assumed he would never forget it. In a statement sent by his representative, Soleil Zwanek, Stone swiftly addressed the charges, claiming that the actors were fully aware that the procedure would be demanding. According to Stone's comment to USA Today, the film's filthy, no-holds-barred rock and roll tone was made obvious from the beginning when they auditioned dozens of people for positions in the Doors. All performers who auditioned were informed that the scenes would be rehearsed and performed from a script, and that Raisa Brahman Garcia, his casting director, would be present at all times to guarantee a secure environment. Garcia also responded to Melissa's remarks in a different statement that Zwanek provided to USA Today, claiming that the subject matter of the movie and the nature of the material made the audition process for the Doors difficult. All actors who auditioned, however, did so willingly and were aware of the content before they began their roles. Since most actors understood Oliver Stone's vision and the creative process, they accepted the challenge and no actor was pressured or expected to do anything that would have been difficult. No actor was specifically targeted for personal offense, in Garcia's experience. Following her presentation, Gilbert thanked Cohen via Twitter on Monday. She was trying to numb her pain by drinking roughly 2 bottles of wine every night when she was at her worst. On 2004, while entertaining a guest for dinner, Melissa passed out on a dog bed and made the decision to permanently quit drinking. She went to AA meetings and sought therapy to aid her on her path. She was hesitant to use any medicines after she got clean. She participated in Dancing with the Stars despite having a broken back after acting in a stage musical production of Little House almost a year and a half prior, out of concern that she may develop an addiction. She also sustained a concussion at the popular ABC dancing competition, but she once more declined to take any prescribed painkillers. She is now employed by the partnership at drugfree.org, which works to help parents discourage their kids from using prescription drugs. She is fervently committed to preventing youth from using drugs. The Book of Prairies. Melissa acknowledged that a number of influences from those around her motivated her to write back to the Prairie, even if she would love to claim that it was entirely her idea. Those first months of the pandemic were a time of initial lockdown for everyone. They were all in their houses and alone. And social media was the only way to feel included. Like everyone else, Melissa shared images of her family's dinners on social media, which were incredibly unhealthy and comforting but also a lot of fun. They were also making all the sourdough bread and eating all the comfort food. CBS then called her this morning to invite her to come and conduct a socially distant piece. On her returning to the plains, she heard it for the first time then. Oh, she thought, that's adorable. Now let's return to the Prairie. When her literary agent saw the section, he called her and told her, this is a book that, goes back to the Prairie lifestyle. And that was the source of it. It was a celebration of the life she and her husband had built up with their poultry in the Catskills. However, she also wanted to remind people to be tolerant, kind, loving, and humane. The concept of people's needs versus wants served as her inspiration. Ultimately, it became abundantly evident during the initial stages of the lockdown that other things rapidly lose their significance when toilet paper becomes unavailable. It was unexpected that she wanted to live on a farm, given that she was raised in Los Angeles. Melissa, on the other hand, did grow up on a farm. After playing it out for a while, she went to her lovely house in Encino, which was at the end of a cul-de-sac and had all the latest amenities. But she had always enjoyed being outside. Animals have always been a part of her life. Melissa feels that at her core, this is who she has always been. She simply happened to be raised in a city. She and Busfield received their land up here and began looking at all the things they might do with it. The lockdown then took place. It let all of these stuff out of her. This fresh life was desperately needed by someone. A real example. Melissa Gilbert's path is evidence of her resilience, flexibility, and love for what she does. She began her career as a child star and is currently working as a producer, advocate, and director. Gilbert has proven that she can succeed in the unpredictable entertainment sector. Her famous performance as Laura Ingalls Wilder won over hearts all around the world, and she became a staple of American popular culture. Her later television and movie appearances have further demonstrated her remarkable versatility. Her influence, however, extends beyond her remarkable body of work. Her support for women's rights and enterprises, her commitment to social justice, and her devotion to her family and community are all shining examples of the wonderful impact one person can have on the world. She would have undoubtedly had a tremendous impact if she had stayed in politics. Melissa Gilbert will remain an inspiration to people of all ages as she continues to manage the highs and lows of her life while cultivating strawberries and rearing hens. Her fortitude, kindness, and positivity serve as a reminder that despite all obstacles, we are still capable of causing our own happiness and having a significant impact on the world. Which one of her movies was your favorite? Tell us in the space provided below. For more juicy tales about your favorite celebrities, remember to like and subscribe. Click on the following video on your screen if you like this one.